And we're going to start with the Commanders.
Nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. Well, we're going to start with the Commanders at the Ravens. The Ravens are laying 6 points. The Ravens are minus 275 on the money line. The Commanders are plus 250. Total set at 39 and a hook. Don't tell me. You're going to mention something regarding John Harbaugh and the preseason. Am I correct?
Yeah, how do you go against the Ravens here?
I know.
The Ravens have 23 straight wins in the preseason? And side note, I bet milk is a big beverage in the Harbaugh family. Doesn't it seem like a family that grew up drinking milk?
Yes, this seems like a family that would just pass around a jug of milk while they're all wearing their khakis. And then dad says, "Who has it better than us? No one." That's exactly what they did in the Harbaugh household. Absolutely.
But yeah, how do you go against a trend like this? Like, you can look at all the numbers and who's starting and whatever. And I think part of the reason why the Ravens are so good, it's not just the pride factor, because before this season, I think that's what the handicap was, is that John Harbaugh just likes to win in the preseason. But also, they have a good backup quarterback. Tyler Huntley's really good. Like, if you watch him play, you're like, oh my God, that's Lamar Jackson Jr.
Yes.
The way he scrambles. I remember watching him play at Utah. I remember I was pregnant in Las Vegas and watching a Utah game. I was like, who is this cat? He's scrambling around. He's acting like he's never going to get tackled. And when he did get tackled, he got absolutely smashed. But still, this is a testament to how good Tyler Huntley has been as well.
I agree. And the Commanders have issues. They have preseason issues, which does not bode well for the regular season. They have been so terrible. They were terrible last season, stopping opposing offenses on third down. They were 31st in the NFL. And then last week against Kansas City, and I understand it's Patrick Mahomes, I understand it's the Chiefs, but the Chiefs were 5 of 5 on third down. So the Commanders, this has been one of those small areas of their game that they have been working on specifically during training camp, and they have not been able to improve. So we'll see what they can do against the Ravens, but things are not trending well for Washington. So I'm with you. Let's take John Harbaugh and his steak and his whole milk and his khakis and lay the points with the Ravens. Bucks are at the Colts. The Colts are laying 3 points. The Colts are minus 165 on the money line. The Bucks are plus 140. Total set at 41 and a hook. And the big storyline in this game is that Tommy Brady is going to play after his 11-day hiatus from training camp. Now, he's probably not going to play a ton, but he needs to get some work in. And Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Bucs, says Brady will play and some other starters will play as well. And yet, Tampa Bay is a dog here.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, Tom Brady's not going to play the entire half. He's certainly not going to play the entire game. So it's hard to handicap a game based on one series or two series of Tom Brady playing. And also, the Bucs have not won a game in the preseason. If my short research is correct, only scoring 3 points against my Titans. I remember watching that monstrosity of a game where I will say the defenses actually looked pretty good. So maybe that's part of the handicap here, is the Bucs defense looked pretty good. I don't know. I'm not ready to put money on the Bucs just because Tom Brady is starting. I don't think that's a really great logic in this one. Maybe you go with the Colts. I don't know. It's still, this one doesn't have as many obvious angles as the Ravens game does.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I don't know what to play here. I guess I would go with the Bucs and +3 just because Tom's going to play. But ultimately, it's a delicate balance to strike, right? Because we're talking about the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and he certainly knows the game, but he is playing with new guys. He does need to develop some sort of chemistry. You don't want to start developing that chemistry in week 1, week 2, and week 3. I understand they play in a weak division, but you want him to have some semblance, some idea of what he's dealing with on offense. At the same time, you don't want him playing the entire game. So we'll see how much he plays. I would lean Bucs +3. I think there are better preseason games on the board, which I can't believe I'm saying. Bears are taking on the Browns in Cleveland. The Browns are laying 5.5 points. The Browns are minus 225 on the money line. The Bears are plus 175, Chelsa, and the total is set at 41.5. Give me your best angle.
God, really? Ugh.
Yes.
This is another one that it's hard to find an angle. It looks like Jacoby Brissett is going to play most of the game in this one, along with most of the Browns starters. So maybe that's the angle you're looking for in this one. And it's probably why the Browns are laying 5.5. So maybe it's built into the number here. I don't know. It's not a Bears team that I particularly want to trust either, even though I will say they've been good in the preseason. They've won each of their first 2 preseason games, scoring 27 points in their last game against the Seahawks. So maybe it's a Bears team that you want to back in the preseason, just not in the regular season. I don't know. I got nothing.
I hate myself for this. I'm going Bears. Plus 5.5. This is their time of year. This is the time for the Bears to shine. 2-0, undefeated, unblemished in the preseason. Matt Eberflus, their head coach, says his starters will play up to a half. I guess I'll grab Chicago and the points. I tend to like these teams like the Bears in the preseason only because, Chelsea, when they're getting points and they need more work, if you're the Bears, you have so many holes all over your team. Yeah, their defense is going to be pretty stout, but outside of that, there's so many issues that they have. So I tend to think that maybe you go with Chicago here. And as I say that, you let out the biggest yawn I've ever seen in more than a year on this show. I feel like you're sort of done with the preseason like I am.
Yeah, but here we are trying to handicap these games, so our work is cut out for us. But I feel like we need to be honest because this is people's money we are talking about. So I think it's very important to be honest about how we feel about some of these games because people are betting money on these games. In fact, like there are a lot of people who are betting money on these games. So maybe you find an angle here. And I know Ryan Horvat was bragging about his like preseason ATS record in NFL preseason. Like, all right, Ryan. But maybe there's angles. It's just I have not found one that I really like enough to wager my hard-earned money on, minus probably the Ravens.
I agree with that. And it's a good point to make because there are people who do bet on the preseason. I am not one of them. I would much rather bet on baseball right now. Now, I will certainly bet on college football this weekend. I will bet on the NFL during the regular season, but there are just other places where I would prefer my money to go, like baseball, where we have such a bigger sample size. But if you want to bet the preseason, we're doing our best here. But again, we know it's your money, but it is very difficult to handicap these games because there are so many unknowns. This is a daily tip for BetQL presented by BetMGM. She's Chelsea Messenger. I'm Michael Jenkins. The BetQL network is streamed live nationwide on the free Odyssey app and on BetQL.com. Coming up in just 10 minutes, college football is back, and this time it counts. We're going to bring in Sean Higgs from Picks and Parlays, and he's going to share his strategies and give his picks for week 0. More preseason NFL football. This is one you're going to care about, Chelsea. Cardinals, Titans in Nashville. The Titans laying 3 points. The Titans are minus 165 on the money line. The Cards are plus 135. The total set at 35 and a hook. Your Titans going to cover this game or what?
I'm not so sure, even though I am interested to see the continual progression of Malik Willis, because that's been the big story for the Titans, is can he finally find an open receiver? Because that's been the problem. He's been very good with his feet, which has made for these highlight reel-worthy plays, but he is still very much a rookie quarterback who needs these type of reps. So the problem when backing the Titans in this spot is that their other quarterback is Logan Woodside, who is absolutely god-awful. Like, if you watch some of the snaps for him, oh, my God. Like, I don't know if he's nervous. I don't know if he's just a bad quarterback. But that's the thing when handicapping preseason games. You are handicapping all of the quarterbacks and not just the starters and not just the twos. You're also handicapping the threes. So when you have Logan Woodside coming in and possibly sabotaging an entire game, I don't want to bet on the Titans for that reason.
Yeah, I tend to think that because of Malik Willis that they may cover this spread. I like what I've seen as far as his progression because remember in preseason game number 1, and he looked good with his feet, but Mike Vrabel said after the game, yeah, he was all right. He's athletic. He needs to learn to throw the ball, and we saw him do that more in preseason game number 2. This guy has a ton of talent. We saw that at Liberty. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but between games 1 and 2, we did see improvement where all of a sudden he looked better. So I think because of that, maybe I would lay the 3 with the Titans. Giants and Jets in the Meadowlands. The Jets are laying 3 points. The Jets are minus 165 on the money line. Giants are plus 135, total at 38. I'm going to grab the Giants and the points because the Jets D gave up 380 yards of offense to the Falcons last week. That's pretty much all I got. What do you got, Chelsea?
Yeah, the Jets don't deserve to be laying points. I don't care if it is the preseason, and I don't care if it is against the Giants. So I don't know which is worse, a preseason game between the Jets and the Giants or a preseason game between the Jets and the Falcons. Like, those have to be two of the worst games of all time, right?
Oh, no question. I got one final game. Just give me a quick thought, see what you think. Lions at Steelers. Steelers laying 4.5 points, total set at 38.5. Who are you going with?
Yeah, like the Steelers. Still have a quarterback battle raging on between Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. So I think that's the play for me, is going with the Steelers here.
I was going to say the same thing. Went 6 for 7 last time out, 76 yards and a touchdown. Very efficient. And it's double these teams, so little squad play there as well.